Ever since Election Day, Bernie Sanders has been traveling the country, mostly to red districts, out there changing minds and building momentum against Donald Trump. There is no place, no space, and no platform Bernie Sanders is unwilling to go to bring his fight. And that includes the Fox propaganda outlet, where he was tonight calling out Donald Trump's lies and the lies pushed by their host, leaving the host interviewing him absolutely silent in a brutal call out that we are going to get into. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way, and it really does mean a lot to me. Now, Bernie Sanders, of course, had a lot of lies to call out, not just about Donald Trump, not just about Elon Musk, but about the attacks on the Democratic Party. I want to check them all out. He was killing it on Fox. Let's take a look.
The question is, what is the fundamental issue in politics? Which side are you on? So right now, you have massive income and wealth inequality. You have the rich getting richer. Wealthiest people, large corporations control our economy. Billionaires control our political system. The question is, do you stand with the working class, with the elderly, with the kids, or do you stand with big money?
Well, that's a great question, because now you have this tariff policy from President Trump. And it's really interesting that some Democrats have now kind of abandoned the pro-progressive thing that they had before, and they're agreeing with the Wall Street Journal editorial page. Do you see that?
Yeah, this is what I think. The idea to say, oh, we believe in unfettered free trade, no tariffs, and some Democrats are saying that, I think that's nonsense. The idea that you arbitrarily one day come up with tariffs on every country on earth for no particular reason, which is going to raise prices in this country, that's also absurd. Not only did I vote against NAFTA and permanent normal trade relations with China, I helped lead the effort against those. Those were disastrous trade agreements written by corporate America, designed to allow corporations to shut down in America, move to China, move to Mexico, and hire people there at starvation wages. Very bad policy. So I believe in selective tariffs to protect American workers. But the broad tariff proposals that Trump brought forth, that is not the way to proceed.
But if he gets some good deals with big countries like India, South Korea, Japan, and others come to the table with proposals, isn't he moving the needle? Isn't he changing the paradigm?
If you do it selectively, if you have a situation where you're protecting the American consumer, when he says, I'm not concerned about toy prices, I think he doesn't understand what's going on for working class families. So selective tariffs that protect American workers and industry, good idea. Just across the board tariffs that raise prices, a very bad idea.
You have this tour with Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Fight the Oligarchy. You've seen big crowds.
Huge crowds.
Explain it. Why do you think it's happening?
I think, and by the way, we actually have information on this, Brett. It's not just, I'm an independent, we attract a lot of Democrats. It is not just Democrats coming out to our rallies. It is Republicans, it is a lot of independents. And why is that? I think there are a few concerns. Number one, when Trump gets inaugurated and standing behind him are the three wealthiest guys in America, Musk, Bezos, and Zuckerberg, and standing behind them are 13 other billionaires that Trump has appointed to head up major government agencies. People are really saying, really? This is a government of the billionaire class, for the billionaire class. People are worried about that. The other area, big deal, is the movement toward authoritarianism. You don't have a president of the United States suing the media because they did stories you don't like. You don't have federal agents picking up college students who may have come from another country, throwing them into a van, taking them to a detention center without any charges being leveled against them. You don't have the president of the United States saying, oh, a judge ruled against me. We got to impeach that judge. That is called authoritarianism. And I don't care if you're conservative or progressive and middle of the road guy. I would hope we all stand together against that movement toward authoritarian. And lastly, you're seeing policies that Trump and the Republicans are bringing forth where tax breaks for billionaires and cuts to Medicaid.
They claim there's not going to be cuts. They claim they're taking out waste, fraud, and abuse. No. I understand. I understand what you're saying, right. But that's what they say.
So the eyes of the beholder, waste, fraud. Look, you don't cut $800 billion without really devastating Medicaid, attacking Social Security. so that seniors, disabled seniors, are going to have a hard time getting the program.
But you know, there are a lot of people who look at this and say the government is bloated. It's out of control. It's $37 trillion in debt. Do you think the federal government?
Fair enough.
Do the federal government, does it need to be cut?
The federal government needs to be made more efficient. In some ways, it should be expanded. In other ways, cut. If you're asking me, is the federal bureaucracy a problem? You're damn right it is. Can we make it more efficient? Absolutely. Absolutely.
Isn't that what DOGE was trying to do?
No, but DOGE was trying to, you don't make it more efficient by laying off thousands of workers at the Social Security Administration so that seniors can't get their benefits and their concerns addressed in a timely manner. You don't make the system more efficient by threatening to lay off 83,000 workers at the Veterans Administration, which will clearly impact the health care that our veterans receive.
All right, last thing. You know, Alyssa Slotkin, senator from Michigan, she said you shouldn't be using oligarch. It's over people's head. You've gotten criticized from other people. Free Beacon says Bernie Sanders spent $221,000 on private jets fighting the oligarchy tour, paid for by friends of Bernie Sanders. That you've spent millions of dollars in campaign funds on private jet travel over the years. How do you push back on both of those things?
When's the last time you saw Donald Trump during a campaign mode at National Airport?
No, it doesn't. But he's also not fighting the oligarchy.
No. You run a campaign and you do 3 or 4 or 5 rallies in a week. The only way you can get around to talk to 30,000 people. Think I'm going to be sitting on a waiting line at United waiting, 30,000 people are waiting? That's the only way you can get around. No apologies for that. That's what campaign travel is about. We've done it in the past. We're going to do it in the future.
And you think that this is hitting a mark? You think it's scratching the itch that voters want to hear from?
I think at a time when the people on top are doing phenomenally well, when seniors, working class people are struggling, people want to hear action to stand up to the people who have the wealth and the power and create an economy that works for all of us, not just the people on top. Brett, what we don't do as a nation is take a hard look at where we are on the issues of most relevance to ordinary people. Where are we? In the richest country in the history of the world, 60% of our people are living paycheck to paycheck. We have the highest rate of childhood poverty of almost any major country. We have the highest rate of senior poverty, 22% of seniors in America today trying to get by on $15,000 a year or less. Meanwhile, the people on top have never ever had it so good. One guy owns more wealth than the bottom 53% of the American households. Most people understand that is insane. That is absurd. There is no reason why we should be the only major country not to guarantee health care to all people, why we have a housing crisis, why our kids can't afford to go to college.
So why do you think, and it's our latest Fox News poll, the opinion of the Democratic Party is now at 41% favorable? Why is that? Why is it so underwhelming?
And the Republicans are a whole lot better.
A little bit better, but not a whole lot, I agree.
I'll tell you why. People understand that the political system in this country is largely corrupt, both parties. Why is that? You know the answer. The answer is that you have billionaires in both political parties determine what legislation gets to the floor and who is the candidate. Right now, let me give you both examples. You're in the Republican Party, and you say, you know what? I don't like this Trump idea of giving massive tax breaks to the rich and cutting Medicaid and education. You get up and say that. What happens to you? The next day, Elon Musk says, I got unlimited amounts of money. We're going to run a candidate in a primary against you.
Bernie Sanders is always setting the right example of how Democrats need to communicate and where they need to be communicating. I have seen way more Democrats appearing on Fox just in the last couple of months than I ever have. And I think it is so important, not just for the purpose of persuasion, but to work out our ideas, to spar with them, which is, sometimes not even what happens. It's not really a fight when you're going up against like Will Cain. I wouldn't call that host maybe an intellectual giant, but this is exactly what Democrats need to be doing. We need to be taking our ideas out there and showing that we are fighters. And that is exactly what I saw from one of my favorite members of Congress, Sarah Jacobs from California, who called out Marjorie Taylor Greene to her face, not just about her lies, but she made a little diss on her boyfriend. You'll have to check it out and then we'll talk about it.
And look, there are real, well-intentioned questions and policy decisions that need to be made around trans issues. I understand that. For a lot of people, these issues are new. It can feel intimidating to talk about them, scary to ask questions. We need to be having dialogue. But that's not what we're doing today in this hearing. This hearing is a waste of time and neglects to provide actual oversight of the ways the Trump administration is dismantling our government and hurting women and girls. Madam Chairwoman, would it be accurate to say that you believe no one should receive gender-affirming care?
I believe that no minors should receive gender-affirming care, sex changes, mutilating their body.
Okay.
They can't vote.
adults
They
should
can't
receive
get a
gender-affirming
tattoo.
care?
They can't drive a car.
Okay,
they
thank
can't
you.
join the military.
Thank you. I ask this because many people believe that Botox, filler, boob jobs are all gender-affirming care, and I know many of my colleagues, probably on both sides of the aisle, have partaken in this gender-affirming care. But okay, let's take this committee at its word that this hearing is about protecting women and girls. Ms. Goss-Graves, the Department of Education's Office of Civil Rights is the primary entity that investigates discrimination against women and girls in sports, in school. Is that correct?
That's correct.
That protects women and girls against sexual assault, whether in sports or elsewhere. Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right. Well, then would you say that getting rid of the Department of Education's Office of Civil Rights would hurt women and girls?
For sure. As did the cuts to the Office for Civil Rights, the group that actually responds to Title IX complaints.
That's exactly right, which is why I find it so interesting that the Trump administration has already closed more than half of the offices of the Office of Civil Rights in the Department of Education, including an office in California that is in the middle of an active discrimination investigation. You would think if we were concerned about protecting women playing sports and protecting their Title IX rights that we would want to be actually looking into why we're closing these offices, not what we're doing right now. For the record, for folks watching, this is also the office that investigates anti-Semitism, incidents of anti-Semitism on college campuses. So remember that when my colleagues try and tell you that they're standing up for Jewish students.
So you heard Congresswoman Jacobs at the beginning of that clip reference different gender-affirming care, like aesthetic enhancements, including Botox, which if you are a fan of this show, you saw we did a video just the other day about Marjorie Taylor Greene's boyfriend getting Botox because the party that is anti-vax because they don't trust science is happy to ingest toxins and put them in their face. And at the same time, the party that says that we got to have the tough, manly men back is, making sure we get rid of those wrinkles and looking nice and pretty for the camera. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but there's something wrong with hypocrisy. That's what's getting called out on this show every single day. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video. And if you stuck around at the end, you can drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.